Well, I'm sure you're all aware that hashtags don't really work anymore on Instagram. Gone are the days where all you had to do was to find the right kinds of hashtags, group them together with sort of a system that we here perfected back in the days, and basically just wait for the likes and followers to come in. And watching some content from other creator gurus, including myself, and I'm not a guru, don't ever call me that, please, but you might have also come to the conclusion recently, hashtags are dead. Don't use them anymore, they're a waste of time. Well, what if I told you that this is actually wrong and that I have actual proof that the way how hashtags work drastically changed? And some creators I work with were recently able to completely transform their strategy and reach using hashtags. Just not in the way you think. So get some pen and paper, because that's a pen. Today, we're gonna uncover the latest algorithm update about especially hashtags, because doing some research, I went on quite a rabbit hole, starting from Mosseri's recent statement that hashtags are basically a headache for Instagram, to uncovering a secret strategy that will grow your account like never before. Let's get into it. Now, just last week, our old friend and CEO of Instagram said something pretty interesting about hashtags in his Q&As on Instagram, because when asked about whether hashtags will come to Threads, he said the following.
Not for a while. We're actually not even working on it. Hashtags can be great. They also can be a really difficult spam vector to deal with. So not at all clear to me that they are worth the trouble at this moment.
Hashtags are not really worth the trouble at the moment, which is very interesting considering hashtags used to be one of the most important tools, especially for getting reach on Instagram. And now it seems like they just hate them, mostly because of spammers. They also just recently just nicked the recent hashtag tab. So right now it's pretty much all curated. But here's what's up. Whenever I go to Instagram or YouTube, actually, I still see these gurus telling people, well, hashtags are a way to getting reach. They're basically a traffic source. If you just hit the right spots on the right hashtags, your posts will be shown to a lot of people. Here's the strategy, and they go left and right, either regurgitating old strategies or coming up with some bullshit that's never worked before. For example, one thing I see over and over again still is the hashtag ladder. Basically something that I used to teach back in the days, back when I was a young child, basically. They say, for example, use 15 hashtags, exactly 15 hashtags, not more, not less. I'll show you in a second how it's actually, they say use broad and small sized ones because then you'll rank and actually get reach with the small ones, and then you kind of jump over with your reach, just complicated things. So let's say you're a smaller creator, obviously you're not gonna rank on the big, right, high volume hashtags. So you have to start with smaller ones to kind of make your way up. Makes sense, right? Wow, let's just all together, you and me, see if that could actually be true. Let's take a random big sized hashtag and a smaller one and see, right, what's going on, what's ranking, what's not ranking, because based on what they all say, big hashtags are supposed to have a lot of big posts in there with a lot of likes and a lot of big accounts, and small ones, obviously not a lot of likes. And obviously this should all make sense because I'm sure everybody who creates a video with a tip like this at least tries to verify what they say and not just repeat it over and over again because they heard it in another video. Right? Okay, so let's take a random, very big one, hashtag beautiful. Let's see what's going on there. The top post, let's take a look. Well, 2 likes, there you go. Second post, 23 likes. Third post, 1,800 likes, so all right, not so bad. 17 likes. Some are a little more, some are a little less. 2 likes, even though it's a new thing, right? Ranking right on the big hashtag beautiful with a sort of smaller creator. Weird, if you ask me, because that should be exactly the opposite based on what they all say. Let's take a look at the smaller one, some random smaller one, and let's just see what comes up. Beauty, something similar. Beauty. By the way, beauty blogger used to be a banned hashtag. Basically, if you use the hashtag beauty blogger, your reach will, and it's still banned. So, just a small side note. People who work with me in my programs obviously know that. Don't use hashtag beauty blogger whenever you see something up there. It's banned. They will probably take away your reach even more. But let's just take beauty. So I just need to find a small one. There you go, beauty channel Beauty channel ID. Whatever that means. 73,000 posts. So obviously, if you're a smaller creator in the beauty sphere, you need to use this hashtag, whatever that means, beauty channel ID, beauty channel lit. So first of all, top one, 1900 likes. Let's see how many views it has. Well, we can't figure it out anymore, but quite a lot, I guess. 27,000 views, 63,000 views, and it's a very old video. So, you know, obviously it's not, this one even ranks twice. Now we can kind of probably see how many views it has. Yeah, 55K views. 30,000 views. So obviously the whole strategy, what they all say about trying to watch out to rank with hashtags and with the size and all of that, is just bullshit. That's just not how hashtags work anymore. But also, and now it's getting interesting, obviously, as we can see it, even big hashtag pages, the huge ones like hashtag beautiful or something like this, don't seem to have a lot of traffic as well, because then there'd be posts in there with a lot of reach just because things rank there, right? And that's the other thing that I hear a lot of gurus say. Hashtags are basically for nothing anymore because there's no traffic. Don't waste your time on them, me included. Generally, I give this advice to people, especially people starting out. And I used to believe that 100% until recently too. But that all started to change once I took a deeper look. Now, I've been exploring the whole possibility for a while. I even talked about it quite a lot in my programs. But there was a small detail about Mosseri's statement that I showed you earlier that I left out before. And it kind of finally confirmed my suspicions. Here's what he said.
We're much more focused on the web, on search, which I think can meet a lot of the needs of hashtags. Search, which I think can meet a lot of the needs of hashtags.
Search, right? SEO, my friend. Something that's never been really big on Instagram. There's been people creating videos about it, but it was never really something to take home from that. But now it finally starts to make sense. Hashtags as a way of training the recommendation algorithms, like I kind of proved, you know, more than a year ago already in another video, but they also help categorize content for search terms. And if you know how to pick the right hashtags, which I'm about to show you in a second, the algorithm will not only know what your content is really about, it'll also know who it is for, and that's the important thing, what it's connected with. Now, people nowadays use Instagram also as a search engine, right? It's not nearly as good as TikTok's, right? It's not nearly as much as on TikTok. But instead of searching for a hashtag, and I did some surveys with some people, for example, nobody puts in hashtag photography tips, right? People nowadays just put in on Instagram photography tips, right? Like a normal search, because it's not 2013 anymore. So let's take a look. If we type in photography tips, just like a normal person who'd search for stuff, it shows us a curated feed of things related to your search term. And if we take a look between the lines, by the way, at the UI, which can give us a lot of hints towards Instagram's actual intentions and what they have in mind. It says for you right there, but if we go all the way to the right, here's the tags, which is actually hashtags. It's not even hashtags, it's tags. Just shows you what they think of hashtags and how they want you to think of hashtags. Namely, they don't want you to think of hashtags at all anymore. So let's go back to the search results, and you'll notice it's called For You, right? Instagram actually curating a page for you, for your specific interests, for your specific profile that it has about you. And I did some tests. It takes a whole context about you into consideration as well. For example, if they know a specific person is mostly into wedding photography, obviously they show a lot more wedding photography related tips in there. And here's where it really gets interesting, my friends. This carousel, for example, you can see first of all is high volume, it has 6,000 likes. But if we take a closer look throughout all these sites, nowhere, also not in the caption, nowhere are you gonna see the words photography tips mentioned. But if we take a look, obviously it ranks pretty high on the photography tips page. Obviously, right, it's a how-to. Here's how to use emotion to sell your photography. It is about photography. They talk about some stuff also in the caption, but that's only part of what makes this thing rank on this page. The creator actually did something consciously or not subconsciously really right. He used hashtag photography tips as a hashtag to give the necessary context. The algorithm, based on all the information it has, the text that's in the carousel itself, the creator, the caption, and the hashtags, made this post rank on this keyword phrase, photography tips. And the interesting thing is, if we take a look at the hashtag photography tips hashtag page, it doesn't really rank there, right? Because it doesn't really matter. The only thing that matters is that the hashtag actually overlaps with the high volume search phrase, right? Which is hashtag photography tips in that case. And the algorithm, taking a look at everything, sees that it just makes sense. Now here's the big issue. How do you find these high volume search phrases on Instagram? Because obviously you want to use a hashtag that's connected with a high volume search phrase. And the answer is you just don't, because you can't. You kind of have to guess, at least for right now. The only thing you can do is to try to think like your audience, right? What would they type in? What are my audience's search phrases? AnswerThePublic.com, for example, gives you quite of a good understanding. Or going over to TikTok actually helps quite a lot too. Put your keywords in there and do your research there. You're gonna see a lot of similar related search phrases. By the way, what we're talking about right here is just a very small part of what I show you in my brand new self-paced course, the IG Black File 4.0. It'll drop pretty soon, right there. And yeah, I actually have a special deal for people who visit this link. Somewhere there. Now, what are some tools that you can use to maximize your chances? First of all, adding fitting topics before you post your reel, right? Most people already have that feature. Make sure to match the content, the context, and your audience, which is basically the CCA framework, as I like to call it, with the topics. And if you, let's say if you post a carousel, you don't have topics there, we still have the alt text, right? It's just a very small thing to help you, but we actually want to maximize your chances to actually rank, because we can see right here, some creators that I've worked with have blown up because they started to use all these things the right way. Now, because I know a lot of you guys are gonna ask, how many hashtags should I use, Dominic? Should I use 3 or 10 or 30, like so many people say? And the truth is, there is just no right answer for it. But taking a look at my research, I honestly believe less is actually more. And by adding too many hashtags, too broad ones, you'll just give the algorithm either too much data or confusing data. For example, there are some gurus out there that say, post hashtags reels or hashtag for you page. Obviously, you don't want to do that based on all the data that I just showed you. It's just gonna water down the algorithm. It's just gonna make the algorithm confused. Now, I know you're probably still a little bit confused on how to do this in real life. Matching the content and the context together, especially, and finding terms that not only get pushed out, but also get recognized by the algorithm, kind of help the algorithm steer, basically, the understanding it has of you into the right direction. And this is exactly why I made this video quite a long time ago, but it's still very applicable to show you exactly what's up.